Hello everybody, hello, how are we all doing? Exciting. We're going to be doing Tomb Kings. I'm going to be looking through all the rules for the Tomb Kings. I do have the Ravening Hordes book, so I've got all the Tomb Kings army list. I've also got the Arcane journal as well, so we can have a look through all the special rules and all the stuff Tomb Kings. Now, the one thing about Old World is there is an absolute ton of advanced special rules. And it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to keep track of them all. The game. Like I've had the book for a while, so I'm still trying to learn and kind of remember what all the rules are. But I'm gonna have the book here while we kind of go through the army list because, like I say, there's an awful lot of special rules, and like each army has special rules as well. So that's cool. Right. So straight off the top. The rules are really cool. The Ravening Hordes, so the Tomb Kings army list in the Ravening Hordes is awesome. It's got tons and tons of the old classic models in there. The Arcane journal. I'm very sad because my queen Khalida is not in the Arcane journal, which is sad. Cetra is, Apophis is, and Cetra's second in command, if you like, Cetra's lieutenant, I forget his name. So he is also in there. However, in the army blocks, you also get the instructions here. So you get all the instructions on how to build the lovely bone dragon and everything like that. But then at the back, which I didn't notice until recently, there is the army. So there's a little 1250 point army, which is really interesting. It's really cool. So it goes through. You can have a high priest that is riding the necrolith bone dragon. I don't know why you put a leech priest on the bone dragon. That's just beside the point. I said that in the bone dragon video as well. And then we have a tomb prince, the Nebuset bold regiment, which is just skeleton warriors with hand weapons and shields. Oh, sorry, hand weapons, spears and shields. Then there's a Dutiful's regiment, which has got thrusting spears and shields as well. The archers, skeleton archers, another unit of skeleton archers, and then we've got the horsemen, the horse archers, and then the chariots back here as well. So we've got the chariots, and then we've got all the army special rules, which are down here. So the army special rules are pretty much exactly the same as the special rules that you will find in the Ravening Hordes. So these ones are the army special rules from the Ravening Hordes. So we'll go through those very quickly now. And then we'll go on to the magic items, and then the army list, and then we're going to have a look at the Arcane journal as well, because the Arcane journal also has some special rules. It's just like this game is just all about special rules. It makes me laugh actually, because like for instance, the when you were looking at all the editions of Warhammer 40,000, you get loads and loads of special rules in 7th edition. They get rid of all the special rules and put them on the data cards in 8th edition, so there aren't any universal special rules. And then in 10th edition, we go back to the universal special rules. So it's just like that constant flow of like, okay, so there's got too many rules, so we're going to make it simpler, and then we get all the rules again. Anyway, so we've got some of the special rules here for. So these are the army special rules for the Tomb Kings. So the arrows of Asaph. Units with this special rule never apply any modifiers to their hit roll when they're shooting, so they're always going to be hitting on a skeleton warriors. If you have a look at the skeleton archers, they have a ballistic skill of 2, so they're always going to be hitting on a 5. It doesn't matter what happens to them, they're always going to be hitting on a 5, which is fine. Curse of the Necropolis. So this is if this model loses its last wound to an enemy attack, then that unit has to take a leadership test. If they fail the leadership test, they take D3 strength 2 hits. Dry as dust is you on a 4+. If you're hit with a flammable attack, then you take an extra wound, which is interesting. It's all good. So Indomitable X. So the X on the side is going to be filled with a number, either 1 or 2. A unit with this special rule reduces the number of wounds suffered due to the unstable special rule by the number shown in the brackets. Now, the unstable special rule is part of the special rule that is in the Nehakaran Undead. So the Nehakaran Undead special rule says that they. So they also count as being undead models, which we all kind of know. In addition to being undead, They also have fear, immune to psychology, unbreakable, and unstable. Now, fear is obviously you're going to need to take a leadership test to charge them. Immune to psychology, you never have to take a leadership test to do anything. Unbreakable, at least I think that's right. Anyway, I'm going to check those in a second. Unbreakable is even if you lose a combat, you're only going to get you're never going to flee. You're always just going to give ground, which is fine. And then unstable is, if I'm correct in remembering, unstable is when you lose a combat, the unit loses wounds equal to the combat that they lost by. So if they lose the combat by 4, then they're going to lose 4 additional wounds from that unit. So 4 skeleton warriors die as well. However, indomitable counteracts unstable. So if you have a leader in there, generally leaders have the indomitable special rule. If you have a leader in there with an indomitable X, so indomitable 2 for instance, you will lose 2 less models or 2 less wounds from combat attacks. You see what I mean by all these special rules. Right, so Kapesh, a hand weapon carried by a model with this special rule, has an armor piercing characteristic of -1. Now normally hand weapons don't have an armor piercing characteristic at all. If you have a Kapesh, which obviously a lot of the Tomb Kings do, then they get an additional -1 armor penetration. So there are a few more special rules within the Tomb King's army list, because this one doesn't have things like the Sepulchral Stalkers and the Necrosphinx and things like that. So we'll have a look at those ones now. So the first one is Cleaving Blow. So if a model with this special rules rolls a natural 6, obviously Games Workshop love the celebrating rolling a 6. So if you roll a natural 6 when making a wound roll for an attack made in combat, it has stuck a Cleaving Blow. Enemy models whose troop type is regular, heavy regular or heavy infantry, light cavalry or heavy cavalry, or war beasts are not permitted an armor or regeneration save against Cleaving Bow. So it just goes straight through. AP armor penetration of like 1,000,000. So no armor saves. Ward saves you can take, so you can take ward saves. So the next one after that, so we've got Dry as Dust, we've got Indomitable, we've got the Kapesh. And then the last one is the Nehekarian Phalanx. So a unit with this special rule that is arrayed in a close order formation and that is equipped with and chooses to use shields may choose not to give ground should it lose combat. However, if the winning side significantly outnumbers the losing side, it will overwhelm the loser. If the unit strength of the winning side is more than twice that of the losing side, it cannot use this special rule. So it must give ground. So if you've got loads of shields up and you are using your shield, you don't even have to give ground if you've got this Nehekarian Phalanx special rule. And then the Nehekarian Undead is that one there. And then the final one is Resurrecting the Fallen. When you are resurrecting units, which you can do with Leech Priests, and so there's an Arisen special rule, so you can bring models back. So Resurrecting the Fallen, this is just kind of goes through the order of priority in which things get healed. So any characters that have joined the unit, they're healed first. If the character's dead, then they don't get healed and brought back. But if the character's lost some wounds, then they're going to get healed first. Anything else, so any models that have got more than 1 wound, if they've lost any wounds, then they then get healed. So then the unit champion is resurrected, so that's replaced rank and file models, and then finally rank and file models are resurrected next. So if you regen d6 wounds and you regen 6 of them, 2 of them might go to the character, 1 of them might go to one of the other guys that has already lost a wound. Then you can bring back the unit champion. Then you can bring back one more model that may or may not have full wounds. So they are all the special rules for the Tomb Kings. It gets very, very complicated. Okay, so let's have a look at the units themselves. In fact, before we do that, we're going to have a look at the magic items. So let's have a look at the magic items first. So the magic items, the Tomb Kings of Khemri magic items. So the magic weapons. So there's lots of different categories in here. So there's magic weapons, magic armor, magic standards, enchanted items, and then arcane items. Now, in the rulebook it says that you can only have one from each section, so you can't have 2 pieces of magic armor, for instance. However, some of them are common magic items. So, for instance, the Crown of Kings is a talisman. Sorry, there's a talisman as well. The Crown of Kings is a talisman, but it is a common talisman, so you can have duplicates. So you can have 2 heroes with the Crown of Kings on. You can't put both on the same. You can't duplicate them up on the same model, but you can have 2 models with the Crown of Kings. Now, you can't do that with things like the Destroyer of Eternities, which is imbued with powerful incarnations. This great blade of this scything weapon is impossibly sharp and is said to destroy the souls of its victims, denying them any hope of reaching the afterlife. Now, also, this is 75 points. So it's a 75-point magic weapon, but you can only take this once. However, it is strength +2, -2 armor piercing. It has killing blow, which is if you roll a 6, then you can't take armor saves against it. So again, celebrating the 6. It has magical attacks, which has its own special rules. So things that are magic resistance, then you'll have a little bit of resistance to it. It requires 2 hands, which means you can't use a shield, and it always strikes last, which is a bummer. However, it is strength +2. So a Tomb King is strength 5, so you're going to be strength 7. This Tomb King also has 4 attacks, so 4 strength 7 attacks at armor piercing of -2. It's quite cool. So that is 75 points. The Crook and Flail of Radiance. The other thing about all these is this kind of takes me back to the old Warhammer Fantasy days of, oh, okay, so there's the Crown of Kings talisman. I'm going to have to convert a model with the Crown of Kings. He's going to need something different to denote that he has the Crown of Kings. Something that I started doing in Warhammer 40,000 as well with the Necrons. So you may or you may not know my Veil of Darkness Necron Overlord, which I converted up. So just kind of adding in all these magic items to your army is also going to be really, really good fun. So the Crook and Flail of Radiance is 50 points. It is a combat weapon again, so the strength is as user. So for a Tomb King, that's going to be strength 5. Armor piercing of -1, so you're taking 1 off the armor save. It has extra attacks D3 though, so on top of those 4 attacks that you normally get for the Tomb King, you're going to be adding D3 extra. They also count as magical attacks. However, it does also require 2 hands, so you can't use a shield, but it strikes first, which is great because obviously you're going to swing it around and it's going to have a little bit more range. So always strikes first, which is great. And the next one is one of my favourites, the Flail of Skulls. I'm so glad the Flail of Skull is actually back. And you may or may not have seen already my Bone Dragon video where I've already converted up a Flail of Skulls. I will most definitely grab a second kit so I can convert another Flail of Skulls and put it on a different model. I want to convert up a whole model using the Flail of Skulls specifically, make him look all special. So the Flail of Skulls, it's strength +3, so we're going to have a strength 8 Tomb King, which is going to be great. Armor piercing of -1 again. It is magical attacks, and it has multiple wounds too. So for every hit and wound that you get through, it's going to be doing 2 damage, which is good. And then it also requires two hands, so no shield for you. But that is 35 points. And then the Serpent Staff, which is Leech Priest only, and that is 20 points, and it's combat strength +2, so a Leech Priest I think is strength 4, so that's going to be strength 6. Armor piercing of -2, which is good. It's got magical attacks and poisoned attacks, and it requires 2 hands. Now I can't remember, again, it's one of those things, I can't remember what poison attacks do. So poison attacks, if a model rolls a 6 to hit, it automatically wounds. Okay, so that's cool. So the low strength of the Leech Priest makes that slightly more interesting, especially at armor piercing 2, that's quite cool. Okay, so magic armor. We've got 2 pieces of magic armor here. We've got the Armor of the Ages, which is 50 points. The Armor of the Ages is a suit of light armor. In addition, enemy models must re-roll successful rolls to wound when you're hitting the armor, when you're hitting the bearer. So that's quite cool. So if you're in combat, accepted your challenge, whatever, and the enemy is rolling to wound, you've just got to re-roll all of those wounds, and you've got to make it particularly difficult to get those wounds through, which is going to be great. And then the Shield of Tra is 25 points, and it is a shield, so +1 to your armor. In addition, any model that directs its attacks against the bearer during the combat phase suffers -1 modifier to their weapon skill characteristic. Now this is not -1 to hit, it's -1 to the weapon skill characteristic. So if you go back to the weapon skill hit table, and then you'll be moving your weapon skill down from, say, weapon skill 6 down to weapon skill 5, and then you roll to then you track across to see what you're going to need to roll to hit. So -1 to the weapon skill is not -1 to hit, which I like. I like that kind of thing. It just gives a little bit more granularity to these kind of challenges and things. Right, so the talismans. The Crown of Kings is 30 points. This is a common item, so you can put this as many times as you like, which is cool. And it's the Monarch of Nehekara only during the command phase of... why is it a command sub-phase? I know they've kind of broken it down into sub-phases, but it's still just a command phase. If they are not engaged in combat, they are making it needlessly complicated, I think. The wearer of the Crown of Kings may attempt to resurrect the fallen. So make a leadership test. If the leadership test is passed, a single friendly unit of skeleton warriors, skeleton archers, skeleton horsemen, or skeleton horse archers that is within the model's command range recovers D3 + 1 wounds. Perfect. So that's really, really cool. You can kind of throw that around for 30 points. Throw that on a few champions and things in units. So the Collar of Shepesh, which is 25 points, is a single use only though. This isn't a common item, so you can only have one of them. When the wearer of the collar loses their last wound, roll a d6. On a 4+, it's not lost. Instead, a single friendly model within the wearer's command range is removed from play as a casualty, which is great. So it's just like sucks out the magical energy of one of his friends and goes, nope, I'm not dead. Magic standards. So standards, you can throw these on... Obviously, you can throw these on all the skeleton warriors. You can also put these on chariots, which is really interesting. And there's some classic ones in here which have come back as well. So, standard of the cursing word. Battle standard bearer only. At the end of any phase in which one or more models in a unit joined by the bearer of the standard of the cursing word lost its last wound to an enemy attack, that unit that made the attack must take a leadership test. If the leadership test is failed, the enemy unit suffers D3 strength 2 hits with an AP of dash, and for each model lost, for each model that lost its last wound. So if you put that on a unit of skeleton warriors, Bretonian knights charge in, kill 10 of them. They're going to be taking, if they fail their test, they're going to be taking 10 D3. Strength 10 hits, which is great. So I love it. Did I say strength 10? Strength 2. So I'm loving that. That's kind of cool. Icon of the Sacred Eye. So this is 50 points. So this is another little banner that you can put up. So a unit carrying the Icon of the Sacred Eye has a +1 modifier to the weapon skill. So that's quite cool. I think that makes your warrior's weapon skill 4. I'll check that in a second. Icon of Rakaf. This is 40 points. Unless making a charge move, a unit carrying the Icon of Rakaf may perform a single free reform at any point during its movement. Useful, I like that. Mirage Banner is 20 points, and any enemy model that targets a unit carrying the Mirage Banner during the shooting phase suffers an additional -1 to hit. So that is really cool. So that is -1 to hit. That's not kind of locked into ballistic skill or anything like that. It's just flat out -1 to hit. So if they normally need 5+, now they need 6. They normally need 3, then they now need 4. Very, very cool. I like the Mirage Banner, and especially for only 20 points. So we've got the enchanted items and the arcane items left. So the Cloak of Dunes is one of my favourites. I have fond memories of playing my friend Gav and charging my Tomb King that had the Cloak of Dunes because it's infantry only, but we get fly. Now it is only fly 9 inches, so I can only fly 9 inches. I think that's right anyway. It has fly and then the numbers after it, so fly X, yeah, so you can only fly 9 inches, which is great. So a flying 9 inches Tomb King sounds really, really good. In addition, however, any enemy unit that the wearer moves over during the remaining move's sub-phase suffers D6 strength 2 hits with an armor penetration of -1. So you can fly over units. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So just fly over a corner of a unit, drop some wounds on it, and then charge. Yeah, it's just brilliant. So Icon of Rulership, 35 points. This is a common item, so you can have a number of these. Models whose troop type is chariot only. So you can put this, if you've got a few units of chariots, this would be quite cool. This model doubles its unit strength from 3 to 6. In addition, any impact hits caused by the model have an armor piercing characteristic of -2, and they also have magic attack special rules. So those models that you can only kill with magical attacks or whatever, so you get that magical attack special rule, which is good. Death Mask of Canute, which is 20 points. The wearer of the Death Mask of Canute gains the Terror special rule. Now let's just quickly check. Oh, we're going to check what fear was as well. I would imagine it's you don't need to take. The thing is, there's a lot of throwbacks to 5th and 6th edition, which I was playing, that I'm kind of assuming. So yeah, you must take a leadership test if the fear-causing unit has a higher unit strength, which is good. And if a unit is engaged with an enemy unit that both causes fear and has a higher unit strength during any choose and fight combat subphase, it must take a leadership test. If this test is failed, any models they -1 to hit, which is really, really good. So terror. Just find terror. Here we go. So terror. Models with terror also cause fear. When a unit that causes terror declares a charge, the charge unit must immediately take a leadership test. If it's failed, then they flee. If the winning side of the combat includes one or more unit that causes terror, each unit that belongs to the losing side, you get -1 to your leadership when you're taking the break test. So that's really, really cool. Drop that on like a unit that's got a hero in it with Tomb Guard or something like that, and you just get a proper hard-hitting unit. Running down lots of. Actually, if you put that in some skeleton cavalry as well, then you can have a terror-causing skeleton cavalry unit that, when they're fleeing, they're going to be able to chase them down as well. So proper cool. Right, the arcane items. We've got 3 arcane items, and then we're going to go and have a look at some of the units. So Enkhill's Canopy is 30 points, single use only. So during the command phase of their turn, if they are not engaged in combat, the bearer of the canopy may attempt to unleash its contents by making a leadership test using their own unmodified leadership. If this test is passed, all remains in play spells currently in play are dispelled. Boom, gone. Fab, love it. 30 points. Bye bye. But it's only 1 use only. So it's quite expensive for 30 points actually, but. It's quite cool. Right, the Hieratic Jar is a common item, so you can have a ton of these, and they're brilliant. So you can put them on a Liege Priest. It's single use only, however. However, during the command phase of the turn, if they are not engaged in combat, the bearer can release the power held within it. The bearer may attempt to resurrect the fallen by using the Arise special rule twice rather than just once. So Arise is one of the special rules that the Liege Priests have that basically summons some more models. We'll get up to those in a second. Scarab Brooch. That looks like it's had a slight typo there. It says Scarab Brooch. When using the From the Beneath the Sand special rule, so this is when you can bring units in from below, a summoned unit can be placed on the battlefield anywhere completely within 18 inches of the Liege Priest wearing the Scarab Brooch, rather than the usual 12. So just gives you a little bit more room to bring your units up. Okay. So those are the special rules, and there's all the magic items as well. We've got one more thing to very quickly look at. So the Law of Nehekara are the 3 spells that all the Liege Priests know as well. Annoyingly, it says that the Liege Priests know spells from 3 laws of magic. And then in the Law of Nehekara, it says if they have the Law of Nehekara special rule, then they can use these as well. Just stop giving things special rules and say they know things from the Law of Nehekara. Anyway, Dijaf's Incantation of Cursed Blades. So it's an enchantment. It's a casting value of 7+, and until the start of turn. Sorry, until your next start of turn subphase. You know when you do lots of commentaries and things on Warhammer 40,000 rules, and then you do commentary on another set of rules which have a completely different language. They just don't flow off the tongue quite the same. Until your next start of turn subphase, any friendly unit that has the Nehakaran Undead special rule, which is the vast majority of Tomb Kings, and that is within the caster's command range, may re-roll any rolls to hit of a natural 1. Useful. So 7+, nice quick 7+, and the Leech Priest will know all of these as well. You don't have to pick them. It's really, really good. Right. So a wizard with the law of... Sorry, I was just thinking, of course they know all the rules, don't they? Of course they know all the spells. I don't know whether they do. A wizard with the law of Nehakara special rule may discard one of their randomly generated spells as normal. When they do so, they may select instead either the signature spell of their chosen law of magic or one of the spells listed below. Okay, so you can pick one of these. Right, so the Kasar's incantation of the desert wind. So you can have one of these, basically. You can pick one of these. So it's an enchantment, and the casting value is either a 6+ or a 10+, and it changes, and this is actually quite cool. If the spell is cast with a result of 6 or more, a single friendly unit that has the Nehakaran Undead special rule and is within the caster's command range gains the reserve move special rule. Now, reserve move is move in the shooting phase. At the end of the shooting phase, you can then move, which is quite cool. So it's like fire and fade. If this spell is cast with a casting value of 10 or more, every friendly unit that is within the command range of the caster's gains the reserve move special rule, and it lasts until the end of the turn. So if you roll it on a 10, then everybody that's in the command range of your Leech Priest is going to be able to fire and fade, which is really, really cool. Move and then move again in the shooting phase. So the Usek's incantation of desiccation. So it's a hex type spell. It's a casting value of 10+, and it's got a range of 15 inches. And until the end of this turn, the target enemy unit suffers a -1 modifier to its strength and toughness. If this spell is cast, the effect of any other hex previously cast on the unit is immediately expired. So -1 strength and toughness to one target enemy unit on a casting of 10+, which is quite cool. Okay, so let's scroll up and we'll have a look at all the units. We're just going to go quickly through some of the units. We'll stop and talk about some of the ones I'm really, really excited about. But we do have to talk about the Leech Priest, because the Leech Priest do have some cool special rules. We'll start with the Leech Priest and then we'll go to the Tomb Kings. So you can have two different Leech Priests. The High Leech Priest is 140 points and the Mortuary Priest is 55 points. The High Leech Priest is a level 3 and the Mortuary is a level 1. You can upgrade those to level 4 and level 2 as well, respectively, if you wanted to. And every Leech Priest knows spells from one of the following laws of magic. So Elementalism, Illusion and Necromancy. And then obviously you can swap out, as we found out, you can swap out one of those for the Nehakara spells as well. So you can mount them. You can stick them on a dragon, which is fine. And they get the Arise special rule. They get a ton of special rules actually. They get Arise, Curse of the Necropolis, which is when you kill them, then the unit that kills them takes those strength 2 hits. Indomitable 1, which is if they are leading a unit, then the unstable special rule is 1 less, so you're going to lose 1 less model. Kapesh is obviously using the hand weapon. It's get the -1 armor piercing on it. The Law of Nehakara, which is the spells that we've just gone through. Nehakara and Undead, which is just a keyword which is just going to help you. And then that also gives you the Fear, the Undead, Unstable and Unbreakable. There we go, I've remembered them. And then Regeneration 5+. Now Regeneration 5+ is like a 5+ save if you take a wound, which is quite good. And then From Beneath the Sands. Now From Beneath the Sands and Arise are 2 special rules that they have. So Arise first. During the command phase of their turn, or subphase, if they are not engaged in combat, this character may attempt to resurrect the fallen by making a leadership test. If this test is passed, a single friendly unit that has the Nehakaran Undead special rule and is within 12 inches recovers a number of lost wounds. However, magically repairing gigantic undead constructs is much harder than raising skeletons from the sand. So, if the unit type is regular, heavy or swarm, it recovers a number of wounds equal to the character's level plus D3. So if you're a level 4 High Priest, then you're going to get 4 plus D3. If this unit type is light cavalry or heavy cavalry or war beasts, it recovers a number of wounds equal to the character's level plus 1. And if it's a monstrous infantry or monstrous cavalry or light chariot, it's just flat out number of wounds equals to the character's level of wizardry. So again, a high leech beast will be 4. And then if the unit type is heavy chariot, monstrous creature, behemoth, or war machine, you just get 1 wound back, which is fair enough. Okay, and then remember there is there's a magic item or a talisman where you can do that twice. So, from beneath the sands is their other special rule. So, during the command subphase of their turn, if they are not engaged in combat, this character may choose a single friendly unit that has both the Nehakaran Undead and the Ambushes special rule, and that is currently held in reserve, and attempt to summon it by making a leadership test. If it's passed, the chosen unit comes up anywhere within 12 inches and not within 6 of enemy models. The unit cannot charge and counts as having moved for the purposes of shooting, but it can otherwise act as normal. If the test is failed, ambushes pay no heed and they're delayed, which is fine. And then the only other special rule that they have is the Hierophant. So this is one that all the old Tomb King players will remember. Your army must include a Hierophant, and you just pick that. It's always the highest level Leash Priest, and if you've got 2 that are the same, you just pick one. Yeah. You've got to tell your opponent which one it is, and if he's slain, the magical animus of the army starts to dissipate. As soon as the Hierophant is removed from play as a casualty, all friendly units with the Nehakaran special rule lose regeneration X, so they no longer get regen. In addition, at the end of the phase in which your Hierophant was removed from play, all friendly units with the Nehakaran Undead special rule that are currently on the battlefield must take a leadership test. If it's failed, then they lose the number of wounds that they failed it by. So if your skeleton warriors, which are leadership 5, take a test and they roll a 9, then they're going to lose 4 warriors at the at the end of the phase. Yeah, and then obviously at the start of the turns as well. Okay, so that's the Leash Priest. Now, when you're writing your army list, we'll just quickly go through writing your army list and what the kind of percentages and everything are. This is going to be pretty much the same for every army, and a lot of you kind of veterans there will know. But it is, when you're writing your army list, you do have a percentage system now. This is how it always used to be with Warhammer Fantasy, and it's obviously now how it is with Old World as well. So characters, up to 50% of your army points value can be spent on characters, and those characters are Tomb King or Prince, the High Priest or the Mortuary Priest or the Leech Priest, Tomb King or High Priest, and you're only allowed 1 of those per 1,000 points. And then Royal Heralds and Necrotects. So Royal Heralds tend to be the ones with the banner bearers, the standard bearers. And then you have a core, so at least 25% of your army must be spent on core units. So the core units are skeleton warriors or archers, skeleton skirmishers, tomb swarms, skeleton horsemen, skeleton horse archers, and skeleton chariots. And then 0 to 1 unit of Tomb Guard or Sepulchral Stalkers may be taken as a core choice. So you can have Tomb Guard in there as a core choice if you want to. But you have to have a unit of Skeleton Warriors and or Archers. So those of you who don't want to paint 25 Skeleton Warriors, tough, you kind of have to. Well, I suppose you could paint 10 Archers. But yes, so you have to have a unit of Skeleton Warriors. And then you can, if you like, include 1 unit of Tomb Guard or Sepulchral Stalkers as a core choice to help get that 25% as well. If you want to go like completely elite, then that might help you get up there. So special, So up to 50% of your army's points value may be spent on special units, which are Tomb Guard, Ushabti, Sepulchral Stalkers, Carrion and Necropolis Knights. You can have 3 Tomb Scorpions, up to 3 Tomb Scorpions per 1,000 points. So in 2,000 point game you can have 6 Tomb Scorpions, which is awesome. And then you can have 0 to 2 Kemrian War Sphinx, not counting character mounts, per 1,000 points. So in 2,000 points you can have 4 4 War Sphinxes if you really wanted to, which is awesome. Right, and then there's the rare section as well. So up to 25% of your army's points value may be spent on a Necrolith Colossus, Necrosphinx, 0 to 2 Screaming Skull Catapults per 1,000 points. So 2,000 points you can have 4 Screaming Skull Catapults if you want to. However, you can't go over 25% of your points value. And then 0 to 1 Casket of Souls. Oh, I love the Casket of Souls. Casket of Souls is one of the best sculpts that they did for Tomb Kings, and I think honestly, if you discount the skeleton warriors, I think because they were just like repurposed old vampire count ones, I think all the models in the Tomb Kings army are absolutely stunning. They're really, really cool. Possibly the Bone Giant could use like a maybe I'll try and convert up a new Bone Giant. Sorry, the Necrolith Colossus. It's been renamed. And then you can also spend, after that, you can spend 20% of your army's points may be spent on mercenaries. Now, allies, you can spend 25% on a single allied contingent. So any Tomb Kings of Khemri army or infamy, army of infamy composition list. So we'll get to that in a bit. That's from the Arcane Journal. And you can also put 1 unit from Orcs and Goblins, Warriors of Chaos and Beastmen Brayherds, but they are suspicious allies. And you'll have to forgive me, I can't remember what suspicious allies means. It is in the rulebook. Maybe we'll go and have a check in a bit. I'll put a little banner up underneath and say that's what suspicious allies means. And then a single Royal Herald in your army may be upgraded to be your Battle Standard Bearer for 25 points. In addition to their usual allowance of points they spend on the magic items, Battle Standard Bearers can purchase a single magic standard with no points limits. So a Battle Standard Bearer can have magic items and a magic banner, which is really, really cool. Right, let's get into the actual meat of the list. We're going to try and go through this as quickly as I can, but I'm sure you can appreciate how many special rules there are, and I'll try and remember and point out the most interesting ones. So the Tomb King and Tomb Prince, 160 points and 90 points respectively. The Tomb King is pretty cool. They're all tend to be quite slow movements, so they're movement 4, which is fine. I don't care. Mummies, stick them on a chariot, stick them on a bone dragon. They are weapon skill 6, however, which is cool. Ballistic skill 3. Strength and toughness of 5. They've got 4 wounds, initiative 4, and 4 attacks. They are leadership 10. Yes! None of this Necrons and dropping the leadership down. So leadership 10. Brilliant. The regular infantry, and you can stick them on a little 25mm base, which is great. You can give them an additional hand weapon. You can give them a flail. You can give them a great weapon. You can give them a halberd, which is +1 strength. You can give them a cavalry spear if they are mounted. You can also mount them on a chariot. I think they can go. Hang on, let's go and see. So it says maybe mounted. See page 131. I don't know whether you can give them a horse. Yes, you can. Character mount. So you can give them a skeletal steed, a skeleton chariot, a bone dragon, or a Kemrian war sphinx. The bone dragon, the war sphinx are Tomb Kings only, so you can't give them a Tomb Prince. But a skeletal steed could be quite cool. A royal herald may also be mounted on a skeletal steed or a skeleton chariot. And then the leech priest can go on a skeletal steed, or they can go on a bone dragon, but that's only the high priest, which is fine. Right, let's go and have a quick scroll back up again. So they get a number of special rules as well, which is Curse of the Necropolis. That's when you kill them, then the enemy takes wounds. Dry as Dust, which is on a 4+. On a 4+, if you get hit by a flaming weapon, you take an extra wound. They are flammable, which I think is the same thing. I'm not entirely sure. Indomitable 2, so if they're leading a unit, then the unstable, you're losing 2 less wounds. They've got Kapesh. Obviously, they're going to be having some other weapon than a Kapesh anyway. My Will Be Done, Nehakar and Undead, and Regeneration 5+. So they have a 5+ save against wounds, which is quite cool. So my will be done. During the command sub-phase of their turn, this character may attempt to exert their will upon those around them by making a leadership test, using their own leadership. If this test is passed, choose one of the following modifiers. Until the start of your next turn, this character, their mount, and any unit gain that modifier. So you can either take a leadership test, plus D3 movement, which is really, really cool, plus 1 weapon skill, also really, really cool, plus D3 initiative. Cool if you're in combat and you're not fighting something like elves, maybe. So there we go. Nice variety there that you can throw that on a Tomb King and stick him in a nice, cool unit. Royal Heralds are the battle standard bearers. Nothing particularly interesting here. They can have the Battle of the King. They're 60 points. The Royal Herald may be upgraded to be your battle standard bearer. Replaces your hold ground rule given in the Warhammer Old World rulebook with the version given below. So if you make him a battle standard bearer, friendly units within the battle standard bearer's command range may re-roll any failed leadership tests. In addition, friendly units within the battle standard bearer's command range reduce the number of wounds lost due to the unstable special rule by D3. So that's the Indomitable one that we saw earlier. So hold your ground. Friendly units. Swarm Protector. Should a Monarch of Nehekara model suffer a hit within 3 inches of this model, you may choose to transfer the hit and all of its effects onto this model. So if you've got a Tomb King, so if you stick a Tomb King next to a Battle Standard Bearer and the Tomb King takes a wound, then the Battle Standard Bearer can take the wound for him instead. The Tomb King just like pushes the force of the wound onto the Battle Standard Bearer, which is really, really cool. Right. The Necrotect is the final character which you can take, and he's regular infantry. He's on a 25mm base. He's only 55 points. He has all the normal special rules, so Dry as Dust, Flammable, Kapesh, Nehekar, and Undead, but he also has Taskmaster. So the Eternal Taskmaster. During the command sub-phase of their turn, this character may attempt to drive a unit they have joined to greater efforts by making a leadership test, using their own leadership. If the test is passed, until your next start of turn sub-phase, this character and any unit they have joined gained extra attacks +1 and hatred of all enemies. So hatred, I'm going to double check, but I believe is re-roll everything. Hatred may re-roll any failed hit rolls against a hated enemy combat in the first round of combat. So you hate everything, so you're going to re-roll all your hits, and you also get an extra attack as well. So stick a Necrotech in a unit of Tomb Guard and they suddenly become ridiculous. Sounds really, really cool. Right. So speaking of Tomb Guard, they only get 1 attack. So with a Necrotech they're going to get 2 attacks. They are weapon skill 3 and their strength and toughness of 4, but they're 10 points each, and they have hand weapons, light armor and shield. So they've got 5 up saves. We've got a 5 up save where we're kind of starting from. The entire unit may take halberds, so for an extra point a model you can give them +1 strength, so they end up being strength 5, which is quite cool. So 2 attacks each with a Necrotech at strength 5, re-rolling everything at weapon skill 3. God, sounds kind of cool. And they also get the Nehekar and Phalanx special rule for 1 extra point. So they also have Drilled special rule for 1 extra point. What does Drilled do? So the Nehekar and Phalanx special rule was they never fall back. So Drilled is, unless it's fleeing, a drilled unit may perform a free redress the ranks maneuver immediately before moving. Now, that's quite cool. So for an extra point a unit, then you can redress your ranks at the beginning of every movement phase as well, which is cool. And then the Tomb Captain, so you'll see this a lot in the old world. The champion of the unit can take a kind of a small magic item, and a Tomb Captain in this case can take a magic item up to 25 points, which is quite cool. They can also take a magic standard for up to 50 points. Skeleton Warriors, which everybody's going to need to take a unit of, either these or the Skeleton Archers. So Skeleton Warriors are weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2, so they're not going to be hitting very much. However, they are 4 points each. They get a hand weapon and a shield. You can give them light armor for an extra point. You can also give them thrusting spears for an extra point on top of that, so you can fight in 2 ranks. So it kind of just ups your number of attacks and offense, if you like, when you do get charged. And the not really the downside, but the downside to the current rule set is that you can't really go beyond like 4 ranks, so you can't really have more than 25 of these anymore. I might think about taking some which are slightly wider, but then that does increase the frontage and kind of adjust their maneuverability a little bit. But if you make them wider, I'm not sure how many people are going to be running 6 wide units, so that will give you, because you're going to be attacking corner to corner, then you'll get like 12, 13 attacks with the Master of Arms, who's the champion, in there as well. So it might be worth it. I don't know. We'll have a look. They can also have the Nehakaran Phalanx special rule. That's 10 points per unit, not per model. So that's quite cool. So you can just drop an extra 10 points onto the price of the unit and give them so that they never get to fall back. And they can also have a magic standard up to 50 points, which is quite cool. And then the skeleton archers, and I've got a really cool idea from, again, my good friend Tristan, and about some skeleton archers conversions, which I'm going to be talking about and doing in a video coming up very, very soon. So we're going to do some of these conversions for my skeleton archer unit, which I'm now very excited to do. I wasn't particularly excited to go through and paint all the detail on skeleton archers, but now I am most definitely going to do a unit of skeleton archers. So they are 5 points each. They are ballistic skill 2, but remember they always hit on a 5+, so you can't modify their ballistics. You can't modify their hit rolls. They have arrows of Asaph, which I can't remember what it does. It is, I'll just find it. Arrows of Asaph. Oh, Arrows of Asaph is the one that doesn't change their modifier on the hit roll. So they have Arrows of Asaph. They have detachment, Nehakaran Undead, open order, and regeneration 6+, which is quite cool. Yeah, regen everywhere is quite good. So the skeleton warriors also have regen, and as do the tomb guard. So they get an extra save. And then there's quite an interesting. There's skeleton skirmishers. So skeleton skirmishers are 4 points each. They have a lower leadership, so they're only leadership 4. They have 1 attack, they're initiative 2, strength 3, toughness 3, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2. Their movement 5, however. They have hand weapons, and you can give the entire unit war bows and shields if you want to. And 1 unit may have ambushes special rule. And they have still Arrows of Asaph, chariot runners, which means that they can run alongside chariots, which is quite cool. So chariot runners, just check in here. Chariot runners, friendly models whose troop type is chariot can draw a line of sight over or through models with this special rule. So you can surround chariots with skeleton skirmishers, and then the chariots can charge through them, which is quite cool. If the chariot's move would result in ending up on top of a chariot runner, simply nudge the chariot runner aside by the smallest amount possible to make space for the chariot. So this is a really kind of interesting unit, and I'm not entirely sure which way to go with this. I don't know whether to do some as archers, or whether to do some with hand weapons and shields, or whether to even bother and just kind of pull some out of the regular units. But because they're skirmishers, I kind of want them to be lighter armoured. So yeah, an interesting one. I might have them running around with bows without the quivers on their back, like holding some arrows in their hand or something, and just making them look slightly different. I want them to be slightly lesser armoured. But yeah, skeleton skirmishers, 4 points each. You can get 5 to 20. They skirmish, and just sound quite cool. Right, let's have a quick drink. Okay, next unit, and one of my favourites. I cannot tell you how gutted I am that they are not in resin, and they're still coming out in metal, which is great, but would have been amazing if they were coming out in resin. Ushabti. So Ushabti are 49 points each. You can upgrade the entire unit with ritual blades with great blows for free. So just get rid of the ritual blade and stick a great bow on there instead. And they can have a champion for 7 points extra. So 49 points each. They are movement 5, weapon skill 4, and ballistic skill 3. They are strength and toughness 4, and they've got 3 wounds and 3 attacks. And the Ritual Blade is strength +2, which makes them strength 6, so they're getting 3 attacks at strength 6, -3 armor piercing. However, it does require 2 hands, and they do strike last. Okay, that's all right. I think they have heavy armor, which I think is a 5+ save, and they're toughness 4, so they can probably take a little bit of punch coming in. However, with a great bow, they've got a range of 30 inches. Let's have a quick check. They do have arrows of Asaph, so they're always going to be hitting on 4s because they are ballistic skill 3. So they're always going to be hitting on a 4. You can't move that, can't change that at all. They've got a range of 30 inches, strength 6, -1 armor piercing, armor bane 2, multiple wounds 2, and volley fire. Now, armor bane 2 is when you roll a 6, it increases the armor piercing value. So if you roll a 6 to hit, is it? 6 to wound. If you roll a 6 to wound, you are suddenly armor piercing -3. So same as the Ritual Blades, which is really, really cool. Yeah, and they're also Indomitable 1 as well. So if they are losing combat, they're losing 1 less wound. I really, really like these. They're really cool. Please, 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 I want 18 of them. Just want 18 of them. They're amazing. A unit size of 3+ as well, so I might just have a massive unit of a Shabti. Could be fab. Okay. Okay, so Tomb Swarms are the next one. Obviously, these have got a lovely new kit, which is rather nice. They are 37 points each. Unit size of 2 to 10, which just sounds insane. They are also skirmishers as well, so you can have a skirmish formation on them. And you can give them the Ambushers special rule for 2 points extra. Now, Ambushers, a unit with this special rule, may be held on in reserve, and then every turn you roll, and on a 4+, they come on. On a 1 to 3, they are delayed and they don't come on. So, yeah, Ambushers special rule is quite cool. They get 5 attacks each. They are movement 5, strength and toughness of 2 though, but they do get 5 wounds as well, which is quite cool. So they are dry as dust, Nehakar and Undead, poisoned attacks, which is the 6 to hit, is a automatic wound, regen 6, and then they are skirmish as well. So nice unit. I like that. The Carrion are 27 points each. They are on a 40 by 40 mil base, again, same as they always were. However, they are unit size 2+ rather than 3+. I thought they used to be able to. They used to come in units of 3. Beaks and Talons count as hand weapons. They get fly 10. If they are not flying, they only get movement of 2. But they are Nehakar and Undead, regeneration 6+, skirmishers, and Swift Stride. So Swift Stride, I definitely haven't seen Swift Stride. Where's Swift Stride? I want to find out what Swift Stride does. But I do like Carrion. Swift Stride, a unit with this special rule, increases its maximum possible charge range by 3 when it makes a charge, flee, or pursuit roll. May apply a +d6 modifier to the result. There you go. So it increases by 3 inches when they charge, which is cool. So they can charge a nice long way, and flying 10 inches. Skeleton Horsemen. Maybe it would have been nice to see some new skeleton horses. Just resculpt the skeleton horses. There's a lot of application. That's the thing that slightly bugged me about this. There's a lot of application of skeleton horses. They can go on the skeleton horsemen, the skeleton horse archers, the chariots, etc. Like there's skeleton horses all over the place. Just resculpt and give us some new skeleton horses. I think that would have been awesome. Anyway, skeleton horsemen. I'm so excited. I keep trying to explain this in all the videos. I'm so excited to be able to get my Tomb Kings back. There's just little things in there that are just like, oh, if they'd just done this, it would have been amazing. So they're 11 points each. They are movement 8 because of the skeleton steed, and they are on a 25 by 50 base, so the same size bases as they used to be. I know some of the Bretonnian knights have gone to a slightly larger base, but these ones are back down to 25 by 50, and the unit size is 5+, as it always used to be. I might even make a unit of these, I would definitely make a unit of these. I've got some ideas for some really, really cool spears for them, and you can give them cavalry spears for an extra point. At the moment, they just come with hand weapons and shields. You can also give them light armor for an extra point as well. So you can have light armor and shield, so they have 5+ save. The Skeleton Steed has skeletal hooves, so that has 1 attack at strength 3. Well, hey, whoop-de-doo. But then, to be fair, how many times has a skeleton horse actually killed the hero that you were charging into combat with? You may upgrade one of them to a champion, a standard bearer, and a musician, as always. And the Master of Horse may choose a magic item up to 25 points. You can't have a magic banner, however. You can. So this is quite interesting. They've allowed you to start giving your unit special rules. So 1 unit per 1,000 points. So in 2,000 points, you can have 2 units that have the countercharge special rule, and that's 1 point per model. So countercharge, correct me if I'm wrong, is that when you get charged, rather than you moving the charging unit in, you can countercharge and you can move in instead, as long as you are not too close. So countercharge, the special rules may be used when the unit with this special rule is charged and it's front arc by an enemy unit whose troop type is cavalry, chariot or monster. It may declare a countercharge reaction. The unit surges forward to meet the charge. Measure the distance between the 2 units. If the distance is less than the movement characteristic of the charging unit, the charged unit has not had enough time. So if you're being charged by a unit that's movement 4 and they are 3 inches away, then you don't have time and they just kind of charge in. But if they're not, then you can move D3 plus 1 inches directly towards them and move towards and intercept that charge, which is quite cool. I like that idea. I really like that idea. They also have the Swift Stride special rule. So as we found out from the Carrion, we can add an additional D3 inches to their charge, which is quite cool. Is it D3 or 3? I think it was 3. And they also have the Horde special rule. Again, another rule that I cannot remember what it does. So Horde, a unit with this special rule may increase the maximum rank bonus it can claim by 1. Okay, so you can have. Okay, that's quite cool. Maximum rank bonus. So it's not giving you a rank bonus. It's saying that you can have tons and tons and tons of these, and you can have an extra rank bonus if you want to. It's interesting that the skeleton horses get that, but the skeletons themselves don't. Skeleton warriors do. They have Horde. Excellent. So skeleton warriors do have the Horde special rule. So you can have 4 ranks and you can get a rank bonus of 4 then. Excellent. Skeleton horse archers. God, imagine having ranks of 4 skeleton horses. Skeleton horse archers. They are still ballistic skill 2, which is fine. Unit size of 5+. They're 11 points each, and they come with hand weapons and war bows. Just call them asp bows or something. The entire unit may take light armor. They're not a war bow. It's an asp bow. Although, being as Khalida is not in the range anymore, maybe they're not asp bows. They have the chariot runner special rule. You can give them +1 for each model, so you can have skeleton horse archers surrounding your chariots, and the chariots can charge through them. Very, very cool, liking that. So their special rules are Arrows of Asaph, Nehakar and Undead, Open Order, Regeneration, Reserve Move, Scouts, Skirmishers, and Swift Stride. So skeleton horse archers can do an awful lot. Again, it's one of those units that I really want. And I really want to do. It's just the horses. I'm having that problem at the moment, is that I don't want to assemble the horses because I don't want to use them. I've got a few ideas and I've got a few alternatives, but we'll see what we can do. But they have reserve moves, scouts, and skirmishers, which is cool. Scouts I think gives you a move at the beginning. Units with this special rule may be deployed after all other units from the army. They can be deployed anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 12 inches away from an enemy model. So there we go. So they can deploy absolutely anywhere on the battlefield, and obviously because they have because you can give them the chariot runner special rule, they can deploy in front of the chariots as well and kind of block line of sight, and then chariots can charge through them. But it's just really, really cool. Necropolis Knights. Oh, now these Necropolis Knights and the Sepulchral Stalkers, I'm so excited to paint up because these came out after I left the hobby, so I'd never seen these. I came back into the hobby, obviously Tomb Kings had gone and I didn't see anything, and then a few months later I was like, hey, hang on a minute, I've never seen these ones. I think I saw them on eBay or something. I was like, wow! So now I get to do some Necropolis Knights. Unit size of 2+. Oh, I'm just going to have so many of these. I'm going to have so many. They are 54 points each. They are movement 7, so the Necro Serpent is movement 7. They are strength and toughness 4. They've got 3 wounds, only 2 attacks, but they are leadership 8, which is very, very cool. You can upgrade one to a champion. You can give a standard bearer. You can also give one to a musician. I can't wait to see a Necropolis Knight with a standard. It sounds amazing. And the Necropolis Captain can have a great weapon. They come at the moment. They come with hand weapons and cavalry spears. Cavalry weapons, I believe, are +1 on the charge, +1 strength on the charge. They're not going to be in the special rules. They're going to be in the weapon section. So many rules. So, cavalry, please tell me they are in, nope, they're not in alphabetical order, which is helpful. Cavalry spear, a cavalry spear is +1 strength, I'm guessing that's just in first round of combat? No, so it's just +1 strength, -1 armor piercing, and they fight in an extra rank as well, the same as most of the other spears, so a thrusting spear fights in an extra rank as well. So, +1, and then they can fight in 2 ranks, so if you have 2 ranks of Necropolis Knights. They are +1 strength, so the strength 5. Oh, yeah. So they have Armoured Hide. Right, they have Armoured Hide 1. Armoured Hide 1 is the hide of some creatures forms natural armour and improves their armour value by how much. So they have Armoured Hide 1, which is cool. So they have a 6+, they have a 5+ for light armour, and they have shield, so 4+. So they have a 4+ save. They also have Cleaving Blow. So this is the Necropolis Knight and the Captain only, because they have big weapons. Now Cleaving Blow is Cleaving Blow was on the special rules. Cleaving Blow is on a natural roll of a 6. Oh yes, so natural roll of a 6. You can't take a regen or a save against that hit, which is cool. They have Close Order. They have Impact Hits 1, so you're going to do 1 impact hit every time you go in as well. Indomitable 1, so they're losing 1 less wound every time they lose a combat. Kapesh, which is just for the hand weapons. They're never using the hand weapons. They're going to be using the cavalry spears. Nehekar and Undead, which is all their special rules. Poison attacks, so the Necro Serpent itself, with 3 attacks at strength 5, has also got poison attacks. And regeneration 6+, and they have Swift Stride, so they're getting a further charge as well. I'm just going to double check Swift Strike. Swift Strike is 3 inches extra on their charge, which is really, really cool. So rolling that 2d6 on the charge, and they're adding an additional 3 to it. Just super cool. They can have a magic standard worth up to 50 points, and the captain can also have a magic standard up to 25 points. So good. And then the baby brothers, or the big angry brothers of the Necropolis Knights, are the Sepulchral Stalkers. They are slightly cheaper actually. They're 52 points each. They are monstrous cavalry. They have hand weapons, writhing tails, halberds, petrifying gaze, and heavy armor. So heavy armor is a 5+ save. However, I would imagine they don't have the armored. What was the armored bulk? Armoured Hide. They don't have Armoured Hide, so they're just stuck on a 5+ save. Well, okay. They have Close Order, Indomitable, Nehekar and Undead, regeneration 6+, and they still have the Swift Stride. Now, they are Strength and Toughness 4, but they have a Halberd, which means they are Strength 5, and the Writhing Tail as well. It's extra attacks D3 at the user's strength at -1 armor piercing. So every Sepulchral Stalker has an additional D3 attacks, and then Petrifying Gaze it's a range attack of 18 inches. It's got a strength of 2, which is fine. It's magical attacks, but it does multiple wounds D3. These are Ballistic Skill 3. They do not have the Arrows of Asaph, so they're not. So you are going to be modifying their ballistic skill to hit. So they're hitting on a 4+ at the moment, -1 if they're moving, -1, etc., etc., etc. So they're not going to be doing much with the Petrifying Gaze. I was actually hoping that we're going to be slightly stronger, because I do like the Sepulchral Stalkers a little bit more than the Necropolis Knights, and I was going to convert some up so that they still have the Cobra head, and then give the underslung weapons as well, so they look like Sepulchral Stalkers, but never mind. They are slightly cheaper, and you can give them the Ambush as special rule for 2 points extra. Now that's cool. That's cool. So for 54 points, for the same points as the Necropolis Knights, you can have them turn up anywhere they like, which is quite cool. Skeleton Chariots, right. The classic, everybody loves them. Skeleton Chariots. They are 43 points each. Unit size of 1+, so you can have one Skeleton Chariot if you want to. And remember, with the Chariot Runners rule now as well, so you can have them surrounded by those Skeleton Skirmishers or the Skeleton Horse Archers. This could be quite cool. So, hand weapons, cavalry spears, and warbow. So they come with the cavalry spears, so they are strength 5 on the charge. The skeleton crew are strength 4 on the charge. The chariot itself is strength 4. They have arrows of Asaph, so the bowman in the back of the chariot is always going to be hitting on a 5+. They have impact hits D3, so they're going to be doing D3 impact hits. We're just going to check down here. They're going to be doing D3 impact hits. The number of impact hits caused varies from the model, and it will be shown in the brackets. Often this is determined by the roll of the dice. Impact hits can only be made by a charging model that moves 3 inches or more, and that is in base contact with the enemy. Impact hits are attacks made in combat that always strike at initiative 10, so they always strike first, and that hit automatically using the unmodified strength characteristic of the model. So the model, I would imagine, would be a chariot, so they are strength 4. So they're going to be doing D3 strength 4 hits that automatically hit right at the beginning of the combat. They have open order, regeneration 6+, reserve move, so they can reserve move. I think reserve move is the fire in the shooting phase, right? I think that's right. Yes, so they can make a reserve move in the shooting phase. So they can move and then move in the shooting phase as well. And then they have swift stride, so they're charging even farther. So skeleton chariots, I think you're going to want lots and lots of... whether you have them in units or whether you have them in individual models, I don't know. But they are so quick, they're going to be like harassing the enemy very, very well. I think they're going to be wanting quite a few of those. Right. So, down here we've got the monsters. We're down to the monsters. The Necrolith Bone Dragon is the first of the monsters. Now, this can only be taken, which I think is slightly sad, can only be taken as a character mount. Can't be taken on its own. At least I think that's right. Let me just check. A Necrolith Bone Dragon may only be included in your army as a character's mount. Its points are added to that of the rider. It is 195 points. Again, why would you give this to a Leech Priest? Give it to the Tomb King and just send him off into the middle of the army. So it is movement 6. It is strength 6. It is toughness +1. So the Tomb King, if you're going to put the Tomb King on this, it is toughness 5. So it is toughness 6. It gives him +5 wounds, so the Tomb King then goes from 5 wounds to 10 wounds. It is initiative 2, it's got 5 attacks. Now it's got 5 attacks with its Wicked Claws, which are strength 6 -2 armor piercing. No special rules to that. However, it does have a Breath of Desiccation, strength 3, -2 armor piercing. It's breath weapon, so you're going to be using the lovely flaming template. It's magical attacks, and it also does 2 wounds per wound. 2 damage per wound, which is really, really cool. Now, the special rules are Cloud of Dust. What on earth is Cloud of Dust? Cloud of Dust, an enemy model that... I completely missed this rule. An enemy model that targets this model during the shooting phase suffers an additional -1 to hit. Excellent. So, Cloud of Dust, you can't see this at all. Dry as Dust, fly 9 inches. So it flies 9 inches. It's an indomitable 2+. So if it does lose combat by some wild imagination, it's losing 2 less wounds than it should do. It's a large target. It's a Nehakaran undead. Please don't say large target is +1 to hit. That would be hilarious. Where's large target? Large target. Enemy models never suffer to hit modifiers. Okay, so you're always hitting it on whatever their ballistic skill is, however they're -1 as well. That's weird. So enemy models never suffer to hit modifiers for full or partial cover when shooting at models with this special rule. Okay, so yeah, when you're hiding behind something. Where are we? Nehakar and Adeg. Stomp attacks D6, swift stride, and it causes terror. So stomp attack. Again, we'll just quickly go down here. The number of stomp attacks caused varies from model to model, and it is shown by an X. Often this is determined by the roll of a dice. Resolving, so if it's in base contact with an enemy, stomp attacks are attacks made in combat that always strike at an initiative of 1. So these are right at the end of the combat, and they hit automatically and using the unmodified strength characteristic of the model. So once everything has been finished, once everybody's done all their attacks, this one, although this is going to attack before weapons that attack last, because this is initiative 1. So this is last, but not before the weapons attack last part. So you get D6 stomp attacks, which are at strength 6. Very, very cool. The War Sphinx. I don't know whether I want to run one of these. I think I want to run the Necro Sphinx. I don't think I want to put my Tomb King on a War Sphinx. I think I'd rather have him on a Bone Dragon and on foot and on a skeleton steed before I put him on the War Sphinx, I think. But let's see. Let's see. It is 175 points, and it does come with 2 extra Tomb Guard crew, which are strength 4, which is quite cool. So it has Wicked Claws. The Tomb Guard crew have hand weapons, cavalry spears, and short bows. So the Tomb Guard themselves are strength 5, and you can take up to 2 more Tomb Guard crew as well. They are 10 extra points. They have an Envenomed Sting. You can take an Envenomed Sting for an extra 5 points, and you can also have a Fiery Roar for 20 points. Lovely. So a Envenomed Sting is poisoned attacks, strike first, strength of the normal model, so strength 5. But you can only make one of these. So you can either take an Envenomed Sting or you can attack with a Wicked Claws. So it's 4 attacks with either poison, strike first, or strength 5 -2 armor penetration, no special rules. And this has an initiative of 1, so you are going to be striking last. And then Fiery Roar has got a range of the lovely Flame template, which is fab, and a strength 4 -1 armor penetration. So this is also can only be included again as a character mount, so you can't just have this as a regular Khemrian War Sphinx. It has to have the Tomb King up there if you want to take it. Otherwise you take the lovely Necro Sphinx. Okay, so the Tomb Scorpion. Right, so the Tomb Scorpion doesn't have the random table anymore, which it had in the first book that I helped playtest and everything. But it is 70 points, and for an extra 5 points, you can give it Ambusher's special rule. Now the Ambusher's special rule is just on a 1, 2, 3. It doesn't come in on 4, 5, 6. It does come in, and you can put it anywhere you like. Great. Strength 5, toughness 5, and its movement 7. Weapon skill 4, and it's got 4 attacks. It has Decapitating Claws, which are strength 5, -2 armor penetration, Killing Blow, and Monster Slayer. What is Monster Slayer? I need to find out what Monster Slayer is. Monster Slayer is not even in here. Monster Slayer is not in here. Why is Monster Slayer not in here? Well, that's rubbish. I don't know what Monster Slayer does. Killing Blow is if you roll a 6 to wound. I think if you roll a 6 to wound, you can't take saves. Killing Blow. Yes, so if you roll a 6 to wound, then you can't take saves, basically. And then you also get the Envenomed Sting, so that is poison attacks always strike first, and that is the strength, exactly the same strength. It's strength 5, but it hasn't got any armor piercing. So you have to pick which one of those you're going to be able to pick which one of those you want to use. So obviously, if you're going to charge in, you want to use Decapitating Claws. If you get charged or you're in a lengthier combat, then you want to use the Envenomed Sting, so you can get those attacks in first. This also has Swift Stride and it has Vanguard, and it has Stomp attack. So at the end of the combat, you're also going to be doing D3 attacks at a strength 5, and then it's got Vanguard. So the Vanguard special rule. Is after deployment, the units with this special rule may make a Vanguard move. A unit making a Vanguard move moves as described in the basic movement rules. It may maneuver normally, but it cannot charge. So there we go. So that one, you can either put it in reserve, so it can come up as a ambush, or you can start it on the table and then it can make a 7-inch move at the beginning of the game. Also quite cool. So the Necrolith Colossus, also known as the Bone Giant, is a behemoth. It's on a 50mm base. Oh, interestingly, the Tomb Scorpion is on a 75 by 50mm base. So it's on a long base. Interesting. The Necrolith Colossus, however, is on a 50mm square base. It has a pair of Great Capeshes, and I'm sort of infamous for making Bone Giant conversions. I made one with a massive great weapon, and I made one with a bow as well, and there were some rules written for that, and they were released in the old Citadel Journal, so I may well be converting some more Necrolith Colossuses, because I think that was really, really cool. You only have one weapon though, so you have a pair of Great Capeshes, and it has heavy armor, which is a 5-up save if I'm not mistaken. It's Indomitable 2+, so if it is losing combat, it's losing 2 less wounds than it should. It is a large target, so if you're not getting -1 because you're in cover. Nehakar and Undead, regen 6+, Stomp attacks D3. Terror, Timber, and Unstoppable Assault. Now, Timber is the old classic. If you fall over, you're going to do wounds, which is here. When this model is reduced to 0 wounds, the winner of the roll-off chooses one of its arcs, front, flank, or rear, for it to fall into. Any units within the chosen arc and in base contact with the model suffer D6 hits using the strength characteristic and its armor penetration of 1. So once you've killed it, it's going to fall over, strength 6, armor piercing of 1. The Capeshes themselves, it's got 4 attacks with them at strength 6, armor piercing of 2. They've got killing blow, so no armor saves if you do roll a 6, and it requires 2 hands because you've got a pair of them. It's very, very cool. The Necrosphinx, and then we've got the Screaming Skull Catapult. Hello. Right, so the Necrosphinx is 195 points. I'm currently building one of these. It has Cleaving Blades, Decapitating Strike, and Heavy Armour. A Necrosphinx may take an Envenomed Sting, see below. So an Envenomed Sting is the same one that the War Sphinx had. So it is strength 5 and toughness 6. It's only got 6 wounds, and it's got cleaving blades, which are also strength 5 -1, armor piercing, and killing blow. And then it's got decapitating strike as well, which is strength +5, strength 10. Hello, -4 armor penetration, killing blow. So 6s you can't take a save. Monster Slayer, which I don't know what it is. Why can't I find out what Monster Slayer does? Oh, it's there. There we go. Found Monster Slayer. And then Strike Last. So Monster Slayer, if a model with this special rule rolls a natural 6 when rolling to wound, and it has struck a monster slaying blow. Enemy models whose troop type is monster are not permitted an armor or regen save. Okay. So it's the same as Killing Blow, it just applies for monsters. Fair enough. So that applies to the Tomb Scorpion as well. Very, very cool. So the Screaming Skull Catapult. 105 points. I want so many of these. 105 points for a Screaming Skull Catapult. Please, 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 please come out in resin. It's going to look amazing in resin. 60 by 100 mil. So that's the nice big base, which is very, very cool. Interestingly, the Necrosphinx is on a 60 by 100 mil, which I think is bigger than its current one, which is good because I think it's a little bit small. It's currently on a, well, I say currently, old edition, it was on a chariot base, so they made it slightly larger, which is good. It may have Skulls of the Foe special rule for 20 points, which is basically you put the skulls of the enemy that you've killed and then you throw that off and it makes everybody terrified. So until the start of your until your next start of turn subphase, enemy unit that was within 2d6s of the central hole of the blast template after scattering suffers -1 to their leadership characteristic. So up to a minimum of 2. So it's quite cool. Any unit that suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds from this weapon must take a panic test as well. So that is Screaming Skulls. So the Screaming Skull catapult itself has got a range of 12 to 60 inches. Remember, you're going to be scattering with an artillery dice now as well. It is strength 4 or 8. And it is armor penetration of 1 or 3. So the 4 is around the outside of the blast template, and then the 8 is on the center. So it's strength 8 -3 in the center, strength 4 -1 on the outside. It has got bombardment, cumbersome, flaming attacks, magical attacks, move or shoot, multiple wounds, D3+1, which is very, very cool. So you can shoot at knights and kill knights outright if you can roll well. Yeah, there we go, 105 points. I'm going to be having lots of these, thank you very much. Just for defensive purposes, it is toughness 6 with 3 wounds, and it does have light armor. I don't know whether catapults and war machines have an armor save. I'm not entirely sure. Right, so the final thing, and it's probably one of my favourite models that ever came out for the Tomb Kings, and it was one of the first models that was sculpted. I think it was, I've got a feeling it was Brian Nelson who sculpted this, but I may be wrong. It is the Casket of Souls. The Ark of the Covenant for the Tomb Kings, the Casket of Souls, looking absolutely gorgeous. Please do it in 4-to-1 resin. It would be amazing. It's 135 points. It has Cleaving Blow, Covenant of Power, Dry as Dust, Immovable Object, Indomitable 2+, Nekar and Undead, Regeneration 5+, Skirmishers, Unbound Spirits, and Vortex of Souls. So the Covenant, can't wait to paint this up again. Okay, so Covenant of Power. Whilst within 12 inches of a Casket of Souls, friendly leash priests may apply a +1 modifier to any casting roll they make. Additionally, however, any model, friend or foe, that casts a bound spell whilst within 12 inches may also apply a +1 modifier to the casting roll. So yeah, there we go. So you want to try and put this as far back as you can so that the enemy wizards don't get too close so they can cast bound spells. It is an immovable object, dead simple. Once you deploy it, can't move. However, unbound spirits, here we go. So if the crew of the Casket of Souls is reduced to 0 wounds, immediately roll for D6 for every unit within 12 inches. On a roll of a 4, the unit suffers D6 strength 3 hits with no armor or regeneration saves permitted. You can make ward saves. Once these hits are resolved, the casket is removed. However, the Casket of Souls can cast the following bound spells with a power level of 3. Light of Death. I don't know how many it can cast. Can it cast all of them? So, Light of Death. Casting value of 7+. It's at a range of 36 inches. The target enemy unit must immediately take a leadership test. If the test is passed, you suffer D3 strength 3 hits, each with an armor piercing of -1. If the test is failed, it suffers D6 + 3 strength 6 hits, each with the multiple wounds 2 special rule, and with no armor or regeneration save permitted. Ward saves can be attempted. Light of Death. Oh, so cool. Okay, so tons and tons of damage. Light of Protection, however, is an enchantment. Casting value an A+, and it range self. Remains in play. Whilst this bound spell is in play, this model, and remember you're getting +1 to this as well, whilst this is in play, this model and any friendly unit within 18 gains a 6+ ward save. In addition, whilst this bound spell is in play, enemy units suffer a -1 modifier to any rolls to hit made against this model and any friendly unit within 18 inches of this model. There's just so many. I don't remember Warhammer Fantasy having so many layers of, okay, so this can go with this and this can go with this. I mean, there was a little bit, but it tended to be from memory anyway, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but it tended to be, okay, I'm going to make a character which just hits like really hard, or I'm going to make a unit which is just like a death ball. Like, this has just got the whole book, and it's the same with all of them as well. Like, I really like the Forces of Fantasy because I really want to do my Wood Elves as well. I'm going to redo and resurrect. I'm going to resurrect my Tomb Kings, and I'm going to redo my Wood Elves. So it's the same with the Wood Elves as well. There's so many kind of different layers and things that you can kind of stack up and overlap and buffs and things. It's really interesting. It's really kind of getting my juices flowing on wanting to write some army lists. Okay, so that is everything from the Ravening Hordes book. Now, there is one extra book that we need to talk about, and that is going to come up right now. Okay, so the final army book which we're going to go through is the Arcane Journal for the Tomb Kings, and this is where you get all the armies of renown, basically all the special characters, but not Khalida. Oh, what Games Workshop? What did you do? Okay, so they get more special rules. We have the Tomb Kings of Khemri, Nehekarian Royal Host. So the Royal Host, you can have 50% of your army points may be spent on one Tomb King, Tomb Prince, or Mortuary Priest, or Royal Herald. So you have to have like one of those. You then have at least 33% of your army must be spent on Skeleton Chariots. So you must have one unit of Skeleton Chariots. You can have 0 to 1 unit of Tomb Guard. Tomb Guard Chariots may be taken as a core choice. So that's quite cool. So you can have 1 unit of compulsory Skeleton Chariots, and then you can have a Tomb Guard Chariots, which we'll get to later. And then also 33% of your army can be Skeleton Archers, Skeleton Infantry cohorts, or Skeleton Cavalry cohorts. Special, so 50% of your army's points value may be spent on Tomb Guard, Skeleton Skirmishers, Skeleton Horse Archers, Ushabti, hello Ushabti, Necropolis Knights, Tomb Guard Chariots. And then you can have 0 to 2 Tomb Scorpions per 1,000 points, 0 to 2 Khemrian War Sphinxes, not counting character mounts, per 1,000 points. And then rare, you can have 25% of your army may be spent on 0 to 2 Screaming Skull Catapults per 1,000 points. So there's a little bit of a restriction on what you can take with these. However, you do get some more special rules. The special rules are all over the place. So you've obviously got the special rules in the book. You then have the special rules at the end of the army list in Ravening Hordes, and then you have the special rules at the beginning of the army list in the Arcane Journals. It's just too much special rules. Too many special rules. Whilst within the General's command range, friendly models whose troop type is Chariot may re-roll the dice when rolling to determine the number of impact hits they cause. So a bit more consistent on the impact hits. Very, very cool. You want to have Cetra with his chariot, with units of chariots on either side of him, just like big death ball down the centre. The language of the priest. It is a little bit restrictive, this army list, but I think that's kind of the point. The language of the priest. Maybe we'll get an Arcane Journal Tomb Kings of Queen Khalida, and then she can have her Asparrows. Anyway, General of... maybe we'll get a new Khalida model. Oh, please. Right, so I'm getting distracted. The General of the Nehekarian Royal Host must be a Tomb King or a Tomb Prince. And this is the language of the priest's special rule. For 35 points, this character may have the Arise special rule and be a level 1 wizard. So you can give a Tomb King Arise for an extra 35 points. If so, this character knows the spells from the Law of Necromancy, and it must also be chosen to be the army's Hierophant. Even if it does not have the highest level of wizardry in your army, a wizard with this special rule may wear armour without penalty. Awesome. Lay in wait special rule. 0 to 1 units of Skeleton Skirmishers per 1,000 points, so 2 units in a 2,000 point game, may have the Ambusher special rule for free. Now that's quite cool. Skeleton Skirmishers, remember, have the Chariot Runners special rule, so they can surround chariots and protect them a little bit from charges, and then the chariots can charge through them. So you can have them as ambushers. They can appear around the chariots as you're moving and manoeuvring around the battlefield. Could be quite cool. Masterful Outriders, 0 to 1 unit of skeleton horse archers per 1,000 points may be given the chariot runner special rule for free. Also quite cool. So you can see where this army list is going. It's really just going to be tons and tons of chariots and tomb guard chariots and everything like that. So a unit with this special rule, this is Steadfast Discipline. This is a final special rule for the Nehakaran Royal Host. Steadfast Discipline. A unit with this special rule can volley fire during a turn in which it moved, or whilst performing a stand and shoot charge reaction. Now, volley fire, I think, is firing in 2 ranks. Let me just double check. Volley fire. When a unit with this special rules makes a shooting attack, half of the models in each rank, other than the front rank, or 2 ranks if it's on a hill, rounding up, can shoot. So half the models in each rank, other than the front rank, can shoot. So you can shoot everybody in the front rank, and then half in the second rank, and then half in the third rank if you're on a hill. So volley fire is quite cool. And obviously that's if you have a unit of 6 chariots, 2 ranks of 3. Cool. Right, so let's get on to the actual army. So there is a second army as well. So that was the first army. There is a second army, which is the Tomb Kings of Khemri Mortuary Cult. So the Mortuary Cult army, I don't think there's 3. Hang on. No. So the Mortuary Cult army, you have even more special rules. So the Authority of the Hierophant. A Mortuary Cult army must include at least 1 Leech Priest to be its Hierophant. The Hierophant of a Mortuary Cult army must be its general, even if they are not the character with the highest leadership in your army. And having said that, here is your army composition. So characters, up to 50% of your army's value may be spent on 1 High Priest or Mortuary Priest, so you need one of those. 0 to 1 Tomb Prince or Arc Necrotech per 1,000 points, and then a Necrotech. And then your core, 33% is core, and then obviously the core now changed to skeleton warriors, skeleton archers, skeleton skirmishers, skeleton horsemen, skeleton horse archers. So you can have 33% of as many of the units of those if you like. 0 to 1 unit of tomb swarms can be taken as a core choice, and also 0 to 1 unit of Ushabti may be taken as a core choice, and necro serpents may be taken as a core choice. Quite cool. Obviously, because the mortuary priest is summoning these units to come and help out the force. So the special, up to 50% of your army's points value may be spent on 1 Tomb Scorpion per 1,000 points. Ushabti, Venerable Ushabti, Tomb Swarms, Carrion, Sepulchral Stalkers, Necro Serpents, and Skeleton Chariots. And then also you can have 0 to 1 Necrolith Colossus or Necro Sphinx may be taken as a special choice. And then rare, you have Necrolith Colossus and Necrosphinx, 0 to 2 Screaming Skull Catapults per 1,000 points, and then 0 to 1 Casket of Souls per 1,000 points. Very, very cool. So, back to the special rules for the Mortuary Cult army list. Harmonious Incantations. If a Leech Priest within a Mortuary Cult army uses the Arise special rule, whilst within the command range of 1 or more other friendly Leech Priests, the number of lost wounds the chosen unit recovers is increased by 1. So when you are, if you've got lots of Leech Priests around and you are arising and adding back to your units, the Leech Priest can kind of help out as well. So the friendly Leech Priests around. So you can basically arise and summon back more models all over the place. Sepulchral Animus. Before making a casting roll, any Leech Priest within a Mortuary Cult army may draw upon the magical animus of any nearby undead constructs. To do so, nominate a friendly unit that has the Nehakaran Undead special rule that is within the Leech Priest command range and whose troop type is Swarms, Monstrous Infantry, or Monstrous Cavalry. So basically the summon stuff. Monstrous Creature or Behemoth. Sorry, there's 2 more there. The nominated unit immediately loses 1 to 3 wounds as chosen by the controlling player. The Leech Priest may then modify their casting roll by the number of wounds lost by the nominated model to the result. So you can kill or take some wounds off a bone giant or a Necrolith Colossus. Take 3 wounds off that to add 3 to your casting roll. Very, very cool. The Terrors Below is the final special rule. Any Tomb Scorpion or unit of Necro Serpents may have this special rule for +2 points. When a unit with this special rule is placed on the battlefield as a result of using the From Beneath the Sand special rule, it may nominate a single enemy unit that is within 8 inches of it and whose troop type is regular infantry or heavy infantry. The nominated enemy unit must immediately make a number of initiative tests equal to the unit strength for this unit. For each test that is failed, a single model belonging to that nominated unit is removed from play as a casualty. That just sounds cool. Like, just pop up next to an enemy unit and go, "Wah!" And just like turn him into like stone. Right, let's get on to some serious special characters. The king himself, Cetra the Imperishable, is a Tomb King. He may be included in your Tomb Kings of Khemri army made using any army composition list that includes this option. He must be fielded as presented here. Fair enough. Cetra the Imperishable is strength 6 at toughness 5. He has 8 wounds because he is on the Chariot of the Gods. However, he's 445 points. Let's find out whether he's worth 445 points. Okay, so the equipment. He has the Blessed Bade of Tra, the Chariot of the Gods, the Crown of Nehekara, the Scarab Brooch of Usurian, and he's got Skeletal Steeds. And then he's got Commander of the Legions, Curse of the Necropolis, which is you're taking wounds if you kill me, Dry as Dust, Flammable, Impact hits 2d3, Indomitable 3, so you're losing 3 less wounds if you lose combat, Law of Nehekara, My Will Be Done, Nehekara and Undead, Regeneration 5+, Cetra Does Not Kneel, and Cetra the Great. Just too many rules. So, let's go through these. So, Commander of Legions. Cetra gains the Arise special rule, and unlike other models with this special rule, may use it even when engaged in combat. Awesome. Charge into combat. Combat hits, chariot hits, blah, 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 and then you can Arise as well in the next turn. Cetra does not kneel. Cetra must always accept a challenge, unless Nekaf, emissary of Cetra, is engaged in the same combat, in which case Nekaf must accept the challenge on Cetra's behalf, which is quite cool, because Cetra doesn't kneel. Cetra the Great. If your army includes Cetra, he must be your army's general. There we go. He must also be chosen as the army's Hierophant, even if he does not have the highest level of wizardry in your army. In addition, Cetra has a command range of 18 inches. Oh boy. Chariot of the Gods. Impact hits caused by the Chariot of the Gods. Remember, we're doing impact hits of 2d3 here as well. They have flaming attacks and magical attack special rule. In addition, when fielded within a Nehekaran royal host army, this model may join a unit of Tomb Guard chariots as if its troop type were light chariot. So it is a heavy chariot itself, but it can join a unit of chariots anyway. So you can use, but that's another thing to mention as well. You can use Cetra in any Tomb King army. It's just that if you use him in the Nehekaran royal host, he also gets extra stuff. So the Crown of Nehekara. Cetra's My Will Be Done special rule affects all units within the Nehekaran Undead special rule within 6 inches of him, not just a unit that he's joined. So the My Will Be Done was the D3 move, +1 weapon skill, and there was an extra rule as well, wasn't there? Let me just go scroll back up. The 3 My Will Be Done ones are plus D3 movement, +1 weapon skill, and plus D3 initiative. So he's then got a aura of those rather than just the unit that he's in. Very, very cool. The Scarab Brooch of Usurian grants Cetra a 5+ ward save. Very good. And then the Blessed Blade is strength 6, -3 armor piercing, flaming and magical attacks, and it requires 2 hands. That's pretty cool. With 5 attacks, I can get to that. That's cool. Right. Oh, note: any enemy model that suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds from the Blessed Blade suffers a -1 modifier to rolls to hit, both when shooting and in combat for the remainder of the game. Why is that a note? Why is that not a special rule? Why is that not wooga a wooga? That's just like a... I've not... Oh dear. Right, okay. Some of the layout of this is frustrating. That's so it's written as if it's like an afterthought at the bottom of the rules. Okay, so Prince Apophis. So this is the Scarab Prince, the really cool model with like all the scarabs swirling up underneath him. He is a regular infantry. He's got a hand weapon. He's got swarming mass, and he's got light armor. So swarming mass is strength 2 breath weapon, which is quite cool. Okay, that's good. When making rolls to wound with this weapon, a roll of a 4+ is always a success, regardless of the target's toughness. That's one of those note afterthought things. So it always wounds on a 4+, regardless of the fact that it's strength 2, but it is a breath weapon. It doesn't have any armor penetration, but that's very cool. So using the template weapon for that. Special rules for Apophis is an ambusher, so he can appear wherever he likes. He's got fly 9 inches. He's got indomitable 2. He's got a Kapesh, he's got Loner. That's a rule I've not seen before. What does Loner do? Loner, a character with a special rule, cannot join a unit without this special rule. A unit with this special rule cannot be joined by a character without this special rule. Okay. So if there's a unit that has the Loner special rule, he can join it. I've not seen that yet, so I'm guessing he just has to be on his own. He's got Nehakar and Undead. He's got Regeneration 5+. He is a Scarab Prince, and he's got Azurian's Reaper, and he causes terror. So the Scarab Prince special rule: should Apophis lose his last wound before this model is removed from play, all enemy units within 2d6 inches of him suffer 2d6 strength 2 hits with an armor penetration of 1. Wow. So so when he loses his last wound, he might just send all the scarabs 12 inches away from him, doing 12 strength 2 hits to every unit within 12 inches of him, which could be quite cool. Obviously it's 2d6, so 2d6 and 2d6 strength 2 hits. Azurian's Reaper. After deployment, nominate a single character on your opponent's muster list. Apophis may re-roll all failed rolls to hit or to wound made against this character. Now that's may re-roll any failed rolls to hit or to wound. Not and to wound. I wonder whether you have to pick. In addition, any hits inflicted by Apophis against the nominated character gain the magical attack special rule. Apophis may re-roll any failed rolls to hit or to wound. I think that's meant. I don't think it's meant to be and, but I think for the purpose of reading the rule, I think it's supposed to be and. So you pick an enemy model, and then Prince Apophis re-rolls everything against him. So when he's rolling to hit and when he's rolling to wound, he may choose to re-roll any of them. There we go. So that's quite cool. So Nekath, the Emissary of Cetra, is the new model which has come out, which is really nice. It's the guy standing on the rock with a scroll. It looks amazing. Can't wait to convert him up as well. He counts as a Tomb Herald. He may be included in any Tomb King list made by using any army composition. He must be fielded as represented here, blah blah blah. So you can put him in any list if you want to. However, I'm guessing he gets some bonuses for being in this the royal one. So he's regular infantry. He's on a 25/25. The Flail of the Conquered Kings, and he's got light armor. So he's got Dry as Dust, Flammable, Herald of Despair, Indomitable 2, Killing Blow, Nehakar and Undead, Regeneration 5+, Cetra's Champion, and Swarm Protector. So the Herald of Despair: any unit that is in base contact with Nekath or a unit that has just joined must roll an extra d6 when making a fear or terror test and discard the lowest. So you are... That's amazing. Yeah, okay. So if you're in combat with this guy, you're rolling. You're definitely failing your fear and terror test if you lose the combat. Cetra's Champion. So this is the must always accept challenges. In addition, whilst engaged in a challenge, Nekath strikes a killing blow if he rolls a natural 5 or a 6. So if he's in a challenge, he gets a killing blow on a 5 or a 6. Very cool. And then Flail of the Conquering Kings is his weapon. It is a strength +2, so he's strength 6, -2 armor piercing. He's got magical attacks, multiple wounds 2, so he's doubling the damage. However, it does require 2 hands. But, and I've now learnt that I need to read these little notes written at the bottom. The Flail of Conquering King's strength modifier applies only during the first round of combat. Oh, okay, so he's only strength 6 in the first round of combat, and then he's strength 4. So the Arc Necrotech is 90 points, and he is... Sorry, yeah, he's got hand weapon, whip, and light armor. He may purchase magic items up to 75 points. He's dry as dust, so if you roll a 4, he's burning from flaming attacks. He's got Immortal Overseer. He's got a Kapesh. He's got an Arcane Undead. Regeneration 5+, and he's also got Stone Shaper. So Immortal Overseer is drawing the command sub-phase of their turn. This character may attempt to drive a single friendly unit within their command range to greater efforts by making a leadership test. If this test is passed until the start of your next start of turn sub-phase, that unit gains plus D3 modified to its initiative characteristic. They really have made these rules very, very wordy. Stone Shaper. During the command sub-phase of their turn, if they are not engaged in combat, this character may nominate a single Necrolith Colossus, Necrosphinx, unit of Ushabti or Venerable Ushabti that is within their command range. Until the end of this turn, the nominated unit improves the armor value of its regeneration save by 1. That's quite cool. And then it has a lovely little note here, representing this unit in your games. Painted in rich and vibrant colours or mounted upon a scenic base, an Arc Necrotech can be easily distinguished from a humble Necrotech. Okay, so just stick him on a funky base, convert him and make him look cool. Okay, so now this is when we get into the special units. So these are going to be quite quick, and I'm going to try and pull up the other units as we go through them as well. So the first one is the Skeleton Infantry Cohorts. So these are slightly different to regular skeleton infantry, at least I hope they are. They're an extra point, so there's got to be some difference here. Can't see it yet. Nope. Can't see it. Why are we paying an extra point? So they have they've got hand weapons, thrusting spears, light armor, and shields. So they're 5 points for either a warrior or an archer. An extra 5 points for the champion. You can have a magic standard. Okay, so you can have a magic standard up to you can still have a magic standard up to 50 points. You can have a Nehakar and Phalanx special rule for an extra 10 points. So they have Arrows of Asaph, Close Order, Horde, Motley Crew. Okay. So Motley Crew is when writing your muster list, a skeleton infantry cohort must contain at least 10 Royal Host warriors and 10 Royal Host archers. Royal Host warriors must occupy the first rank of the unit, pushing any Royal Host archers to get there if necessary. Okay, so you can mix your units here. So you can have warriors and units, warriors and archers. So warriors go to the front rank, and then archers fire from the second rank. Okay, but what's the benefit? I don't understand what the benefit is. Why are they more expensive? They're movement 4. So they're movement 4. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 2, strength and toughness 3. They've got 1 wound. They've got initiative 2. They've got 1 attack, and they've got leadership 5. They've got hand weapons, thrusting spears, light armor, and shields. Oh, okay. So they come with light armor for an extra point. Oh, and spears. Okay, okay. So they come with light armor and thrusting spears for 5 points rather than 6 points, so they're technically cheaper. Okay. Right, the next ones are Venerable Ushabti, so let's get the Ushabti models up as well. Now, Ushabti, let's see if we can play Spot the Difference on Ushabti. So these are 56 points each, rather than 49 points each. So again, there better be something different. And they are strength 5 rather than strength 4. There we go, straight away, dead easy. They have hand weapons, ritual blades, and heavy armor. And they have close order, indomitable 1, Kapesh, magic resistance 2, Nehakar and Undead, and regeneration 6+. So the regular Ushabti don't have magic resistance. However, they do lose the bow, so you can't have them with a bow. These are literally just with a ritual blade. The ritual blade is strength +2, which means they are now strength 7 rather than strength 6. -3 armor piercing, requires 2 hands, and strikes last. So that's quite cool. And right, so let's have a look at the next one, which is the chariots, I believe. So skeleton cavalry cohort. See if we can spot what the difference is on this. These are 12 points rather than 11 points, so again they're going to get something bonus. So they have cavalry spears, light armor, and shields. So yep, again they are getting cavalry spears and light armor pretty much for free. So they're getting them for an extra point rather than for an extra 2 points. And they have counter charge for an extra point, and you can have magic items up to 30 points. Yep, rather than 25 points, so you can even have more magic items there as well, which is quite good. Motley Crew. What is Motley Crew? Is Motley Crew in here? Motley Crew. Units with this special rule may equip models of the same type that are equipped differently to one another. Okay, so this is the one, again, this is the one where you can mix up the units. So you can have 5 archers and 5 horses within this unit if you wanted to. You can mix this unit up, and you can buy horsemen and archers for the same unit. So horsemen are 12 points each, archers are 11 points each, but they both come they all come with light armor, and then the royal horsemen have cavalry spears and shields. That's quite cool. So the necro serpents are 38 points each in this list. So necro serpents, I think, are the versions of the sepulchral stalkers. So they are way cheaper, 52 points to 38 points. So they are monstrous cavalry, and they're way cheaper. They have lashing tails and venomous fangs, count as hand weapons. They have ambushes. These ones have armoured hide, which the other ones don't, which is interesting. They have impact hits of 1, indomitable 1, move through cover, Nehakar and Undead, open order, poison attacks, regeneration 6+, and swift strike. So yeah, this is really, really cool. Although they don't have, I think the sepulchral stalkers have the halberds. These ones don't have halberds. These ones just have hand weapons. So lashing tails and venomous fangs. So this is going to be interesting. So necro serpents are easily represented in your games by using the necro serpents from the Necropolis Knight kit. So if you do want to do that, they don't have any weapons, so you can just use them as necro serpents, which is interesting. So yeah, okay. So that's why they're cheaper. They're cheaper because they're not quite as good. However, they do get quite a better save. Well, no, they don't really, do they? Because they only get a armored hide 1, so they only get a 6+ save, and then get regeneration 6+. Right, so there we go. So the necro serpents, 38 points each for strength 5, toughness 4. So they are a little bit stronger, hitting at strength 5 rather than at strength 4. However, the stalkers had halberds. Yeah, the stalkers. So they both hit at strength 5. So there we go, and they are 3 attacks each. It's quite good. Tomb Guard chariots. Hello, Tomb Guard chariots. So these are 53 points per chariot, compared to 43 points for a regular skeleton chariot from the regular army list. However, they are weapon skill and ballistic skill 3. Remember, they also have. They do not have arrows of Asaph. So they. Okay. Yeah. So the skeleton chariots themselves have arrows of Asaph, but the Tomb Guard chariots in the royal cohort do not have arrows of Asaph. So although they're hitting with a ballistic skill of 3, you can modify that, so they're still going to be hitting on a 5+ because they're going to be moving and shooting anyway. So, okay.
whatever. That's slightly annoying. So it's 10 points extra, and the crew are strength 4 rather than strength 3, and they do have halberds as well, so they are then strength 5, which is quite cool. So they're strength 5 in combat, but again they only get 1 attack from the crew. There's 2 of them in there, so they get 2 attacks at strength 5. The impact hits, however, are D3 plus 1 rather than just D3, which is quite cool. And they have cleaving blow, so the Tomb Guard crew have cleaving blow. So I don't know whether they're worth 10 points extra for in one chariot for 2 extra attacks that are strength 5. Maybe, I don't know, but they're weapon skill 3, so they are probably going to be hitting on a 5 against most things. So we'll see how we do. Again, it's a lovely little thing in here representing this unit in your games. Skeleton chariots crewed by Tomb Guard infantry are ideal for representing Tomb Guard chariots. There you go. It is quite cool seeing Forge World and the Specialist Game Studio sort of trying to embrace converting. That is quite a nice thing. Okay, so let's very quickly, because I want to do this nice and quick, we're going to quickly go through the Khemri magic items that you get in the Arcane Journal, and then I will say good luck, and please tag me in every single Tomb King thing that you do on Instagram, because I want to see all of them. Okay, so magic weapons. There aren't many common ones in here. So you've got Blade of Antahak, which is 45 points. So the Blade of Antahak is strength plus 1. It's -1 armor piercing. It's magic attacks. However, and I'm reading all the notes on these now, the Blade of Antahak may only be taken by models in a Necrocaran Royal Host Army of Infamy. For each wound an enemy unit loses as a result of an attack, its wielder immediately recovers a single lost wound. Okay, that's cool. So that is an old magic item from the first book, whereas if you kill something you recover in the wound. That's quite cool. So Conqueror's Blade is 55 points. That is strength plus 2. So a Tomb King will be throwing that at strength 7, which is quite cool. Armor piercing of -2. It's got killing blow, so 6s to wound. You don't get a save. Magic attacks requires 2 hands and strikes last, so it does get to strike last. However, whilst engaged in a challenge, the bearer of the Conqueror's Blade strikes a killing blow on a 5 or a 6, so it's the one that Cetra's emissary has. Oh wow, and should the wielder slay the enemy general in a challenge, you win a bonus of 100 victory points at the end of the game. Okay, that's awesome. I like that. That's completely bonkers cool. Okay, so Fact Blade of Justice. This is 35 points. It is regular strength, so the wielder's strength is -1 armor penetration, armor piercing, magic attacks, and it requires 2 hands. Models whose troop type is infantry only, and the Blades of Justice grant the wielder +1 attack for each rank an enemy unit the wielder is engaged with has. So if you're charging into a massive unit, then you are you're getting an extra attack for every single rank that there is there. I don't know, it's quite cool. Okay, so Staff of Aeons is the last magic item, or magic weapon, and this is strength plus 2. It is -1 armor piercing, magical, and it requires 2 hands again, so nothing kind of funky or special. It can only be taken by a leash priest in the Mortuary Cult army, and any model that is hit by 1 or more close combat attacks made using this weapon suffers a -1 modifier to its armor value for the remainder of the game. Okay. -1 armor value. That's quite good. You've got to get your lead priest into combat though. It's scary. Magic armor. It's definitely not a range attack. Nope, it's definitely combat. Magic armor. So we got two pieces of magic armor. We've got the Royal Mantle, which is 40 points. The Royal Mantle may only be taken by models in a Necrocaran Royal Host Army of Infamy. May be worn with other armor. The wearer of the Royal Mantle improves their armor value by 1 to a maximum of 2+. In addition, the wearer's My Will Be Done special rule affects all units within the Necrocaran special rule within 6, not just the unit they've joined. So this is like Cetra's little aura. Very cool little armor. So you can have that as well as light armor and a shield, so you can go crazy with this one. Very cool. So Warding Splint is the second one, which is 35 points. The warding splint is a suit of heavy armour, which may be purchased and worn by a Lich Priest, even if they do not have the option to be equipped with armour, a shield or barding. In addition, its wearer has a 5+ ward save as well. So, very, very cool. So the talismans, we've got a couple of talismans, 30 points and 25 points for the Amulet of the Serpent and the Relic of the Desert Sun. So the Amulet, the bearer of the Amulet, and any unit they have joined gained poisoned attacks, special rule. That is my, that's just what my Queen Khalida has. So Khalida, hi Queen Khalida, she just stands there with my Asp Arrow archers, and they get poison attacks. Thank you very, very much. That's just perfect. Mwah. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Why it's not a Staff of the Serpent, I don't know. The Staff of the Serpent was something else, but that is fine. So I can have my Khalida in the game. Relic of the Desert Sun. Well, I was going to anyway, but without her just being another Lich Priest. So Relic of the Desert Sun, 25 points. The bearer of the Relic of the Desert Sun is not subject to the dry as dust or flammable special rules. Very, very cool. Very, very useful as well. Magic Standards. Royal Standard of Cetra. So 50 points. The Royal Standard of Cetra may only be taken in a muster list that includes Cetra the Imperishable and or Nekath the Emissary of Cetra. A unit carrying the Royal Standard of Cetra gains hatred of enemy characters and terror special rules. So you're going to get rerolls and wounds, reroll hits to wounds against the enemy characters, and that unit causes terror. Quite cool. See that on another unit of chariots, which are next to Cetra. Sigil of Centuries is 45 points. All enemy units within 6 inches of the model carrying the sigil suffer a -1 modifier to the initiative characteristic to a minimum of 1. So that's an aura of -1 initiative. That's quite cool. It's good. Tapestry of Conquered Lands. All these like negative initiative things are quite good because we're not going to be dying and losing combats by a vast amount. So there's going to be some lengthy combats with Tomb King. So trying to get that initiative as enemy initiative as low as we can could be quite useful. Tapestry of Conquered Lands, 35 points. Enemy standard captured by a unit carrying the Tapestry of Conquered Lands is worth 100 victory points as a trophy of war. I like it. So if you're killing a unit that has a banner, nick the banner. Thank you very, very much. 100 victory points extra. Models whose Banner of the Desert Winds is the last banner. So this is 30 points. Models whose troop type is infantry only. A unit carrying the Banner of the Desert Winds gains the Vanguard and Reserve move special rules. So you can't give this to chariots. This can only be on skeleton warriors, skeleton archers, or anything like that. You get to move before the game, and then you also get to move in the shooting phase as well. I like that. That's quite good. Makes Tomb Kings rather fast. And here we go. So the last couple of magic items, and then I will leave you to go and muse and mull over your Tomb King ideas. Enchanted items. Staff of Awakening is 50 points, and it's a High Priest only. When the wielder of the Staff of Awakening uses the Arise special rule on a friendly unit whose troop type is infantry or cavalry, you will recover an additional D3 wounds. Awesome. Orb of Tra, 40 points. Any enemy model that targets this character or any unit they have joined during the shooting phase, -1 to hit. Okay, that's awesome. And then we've got a couple of arcane items. We have absolutely unpronounceable canopy. So it's Fazaract's Canopy. It's 40 points, single use only. During the command subphase of the turn, if they are not engaged in combat, the bearer may unleash its contents by making a leadership test. This is brilliant, by the way. If this test is passed, place a unit of 2d6 + 3 skeleton warriors on the battlefield anywhere completely within 12 inches of this model, not within 1 inch of an enemy model. And this is during the command subphase, so they've not moved yet. So it's a regular skeleton warrior. They've got hand weapons and shields. They haven't got any armor or anything like that, so they've just got a 6-up save. They have Horde, Nehakar and Undead, regeneration 6+, and they are skirmishers. So all of a sudden, for 40 points, you can go pff, and you can just have a skirmish screen in front of you with skeleton warriors. And then summon skeleton warriors are not worth any victory points if you kill them. Perfect. So the Curse Weaver wand, 20 points. The bearer of the Curse Weaver wand gains a +1 modifier to their casting roll when attempting to cast a hex spell. Awesome. And then the final one, which is the Tablets of Tahoth, which is a common item. You can give this to all your Leech Priests if you want. A wizard may purchase up to 3 Tablets of Tahoth, each of which is a single use. Before making a casting roll, a wizard may choose to use a number of their tablets. For each tablet used, +1 to that casting roll. Perfect. Brilliant. Absolutely awesome. So there we go, everybody. And just before we finish, I just want to flick through very, very quickly and show you the Tomb King section in here. There you go. Have a proper look at this. So here are all the lovely Tomb King models. I can't wait to do the knights. I am doing my Necrosphinx at the moment. Can't wait for the new Casket of Souls to come out. And actually, I really want to paint I never painted a Screaming Skull catapult. I had 2 of them and I never painted them. So yeah, I want to get all of these done. Look out for the rest of my videos coming very, very soon. I'm going to be painting all of these. We're going to be talking about what I'm going to be trying to do with the army and everything. I just want so many Ushabti. I love the models. Big missed opportunity there, Games Workshop. Get those into Forge World Resin. Yeah, there we go. Skeleton horses. If anybody has any ideas, the one idea I have, and it's not a particularly good idea, well technically I've got 2 ideas, is use the Black Knight horses. They have capes, so some kind of barding. I don't know, like the heads look better, so maybe I can make use of those. I'm going to grab a box at some point and try those. And then the other idea that I had was just to sculpt some wrappings and mummified wrappings and everything over these and just see if they look better. But the heads are just so simple. I quite like the Black Riders heads at least. So if you've got any ideas for how to do skeleton horses, because obviously there's quite a lot in Tomb King's armies, particularly in that royal cohort as well, because you're going to be running lots and lots of chariots, then let me know. Oh, chaos! No, thank you. Yeah, right. I'm going to carry on building all my models, and there was an article out today as well about unit fillers. So this may or may not be a cool little unit filler for some of my Necron warrior units. This will be the little Leech Priest leading a unit of Necron warriors. We can get him into the middle of a unit, which would be quite cool, just to kind of bulk out the unit and make the unit a little bit more interesting. But there you go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sorry that it was a very, very long video, but as you saw, there were an absolute plethora of special rules. It's ridiculous. So thank you very much. Take care, everybody. Please drop my Twitch stream. I'm going to be very, very excited about Tomb Kings, and I'm also going to be doing some Wood Elves as well. So if you want to know any rules for the Old World, please do drop in. Ask me any questions about my Tomb Kings. Keep an eye out for the other videos which are coming as well. And you can find me, as always, you can find me at Chris Frostin. That's on twitch.tv and also on Instagram and Twitter as well. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm sorry I kept you this long. I hope you enjoyed the chit chat. And I will see you on the desert sands of Nehakara. Yes! Oh, yes! Okay, take care, everybody. Cheers, bye-bye.